wild things come into your head. Everything's bad, everyone's bad.
I read all the side effects and I don't want to take that.
I take so many tablets I rattle.
I looked up Dr. Google and now I don't know what to believe.
Who comes up with the names for these medicines?
I hate taking medicines.
Hello, g'day everyone, and welcome to the Medicines Ed podcast. This podcast is for anyone who wants to know more about their medicines. It's for anyone who wants to feel more confident using them, because if you are more confident and clued up about your medicines, then you can make better choices about your health. You can make the choices that are right for you. I'm John, and I'm a pharmacist who loves to help people mind their own medicines.
Mind your 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 own medicines.
We all have a story to tell, and sometimes the same types of things will happen in our own lives. We'll learn from others how they take care of their health and the part medicines play in their lives. We'll learn more about the choices you can make. Now it's time for our disclaimer. This podcast is general health and medicines information only, and the content is not health advice. We're all unique, we're all special. So please consult your healthcare professional if you have any questions about your health. Now, let's jump into today's episode. G'day everyone. Today we're going to be chatting with Zoe. And Zoe uses some medicines to help with anxiety. She's used a lot of medicines in the past to help with anxiety. But anxiety is not going to be the main thing we're talking about. We'll obviously touch on it a bit. The main thing we're going to be talking about is where you've got a medicine which ideally you use every day, but you don't. And what a lot of people can do, and you might have done this before, is they might stop or start it from time to time. They might do this for a whole heap of different reasons, but they just can't commit to taking it every day. So we're going to be talking about that and trying to unpack that a bit and explore that a bit more later on. Now, coming back to Zoe. Among her many talents, she's a mother to 2 teenage boys. And as I said before, she has issues with anxiety and she's tried quite a few medicines along the way to try and help with it. But she hasn't been able to find something that helps, or she's never really wanted to stay on something and take it every day. She stops and starts things. So today's about finding something you're happy with and sticking with it, seeing it through, and fingers crossed it does the right thing by you and you feel better for it. Now, a little bit about anxiety and what it is. Everyone feels anxious from time to time. The issue comes along though when these feelings don't go away, or if they happen without any real reason, or they make it hard to cope with life from day to day. Some of the things you might go through if the anxiety is getting out of control is that you might get really worried or anxious most of the time. You might have a hard time calming things down and relaxing. These thoughts, these anxious thoughts get away from you. You can't control them. The worrying and the anxiousness is uncontrollable. No matter what you do, you just can't seem to put a lid on it. You might get tired out pretty easily and you might have trouble thinking through things and concentrating. Your muscles might tighten up, might get really tense in your muscles, and of course you might have trouble sleeping. Anxiety is really common in Australia. About 1 in 4 Australians will get issues from anxiety at some point in their life. The good thing though is you can do something about it, whether it be with some medicines or talk therapy, maybe having a chat to a psychologist or a counsellor. We won't be talking too much about talk therapy, but remember it's out there. It's important to think about it. I'm a pharmacist, so we'll be talking a bit more about medicines today. But as I said, the main focus isn't about anxiety. It's about finding something you're happy to use and sticking with it. If you want to find out more about anxiety, jump on the Beyond Blue website. I've used some of their information off the website to help me create today's podcast. But they've got some great information on their website. The other organisation you might want to have a think about is Lifeline. If you ever get any thoughts about suicide, give them a ring. You can give them a ring in Australia on 13 11 14, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, day or night. Give them a ring and there'll be someone on the other end of the phone to help you out and have a chat. We'll jump in now to our chat with Zoe. Excuse the sound. She had really long nails and she was tapping them on the table from time to time. Killer nails, so you'll hear that a little bit. I'll see you on the other end of the chat. Until then, hooroo. You've tried medicines and they help, then I think I get the impression that they help and then you sort of stop them because you're feeling better.
Yes.
And then things get worse.
Yes.
And then you start them up again.
Yes.
How do you feel about using something regularly to help with the anxiety that you get?
If it worked, I'd do anything, but I was under the impression relying upon a medicine is giving in to something that's really anxiety, which is really not. To me, it's not a thing. It's not like I've got a cancer or, it's not something you have to take to keep you alive. But it's got that bad that I'm happy to. If something like this would help me, I'd take it every day.
So even though your preference would not be to use something every day?
Yes, my preference obviously would be nothing, because as I told you, I've never had anxiety before. Before I reached the age of about 47, I'm 51 now, and I could run off. I used to fly back and forwards from Australia when I was 11 by myself, and I've flown frequently around the world because my parents worked everywhere. And now I struggle to take a flight to Melbourne would put me in a spin for weeks. And I think once you've had a panic attack like that and you've been taken off a plane and a doctor's had to come, it's so frightening that every time I felt a little bit of anxiety after that, the fear of the fear almost brings another one on. And then the fear of having another one causes it to get more frequent, and it's gone on from there. I'm more frightened of anxiety than anything else.
But you get anxious about getting anxious?
Yes,
okay.
Exactly. Once you've had a panic attack, and I don't know if you've ever had one, it's such a horrible feeling. You just lose all reality. Like, everything's bad, everyone's bad, everything. It's so ridiculous when you think back about it. I don't know, I'm thinking the dog's going to drop dead any minute. It's just wild things come into your head. And you just completely lose reality. And then even when you do come back in your mind, your body still won't come back with you. You're still shaking.
So this will come on from time to time. Obviously you have good days. You might have a stretch of good days, and then you might have some bad days.
Yeah.
And sometimes the temptation can be, if you're having a stretch of good days, is to stop using whatever medicine you're on.
I think it's fine, I'm okay, it's under control.
And what that can lead to is you exposing yourself to bad days coming. You don't have the medicine on board.
Yeah.
And then you've got nothing there to sort of try and control things if you do start to wind up and start to panic and get anxious. So it can be useful to take something every day.
Yes.
Because this is an issue that's with you,
Well, it
long term.
ruins your life because you can't look forward to anything, and everything that's good turns into a bad.
Because this is something that's going to be around for a while. It doesn't look like it's going anywhere soon.
No.
It can be worth using medicines even on the good days, just to try and keep a lid on things, to make it less likely that you're going to have a bad day or a bad stretch of days. And a lot of people do it. They feel good, they stop the medicine they're using for whatever reason. It could be pain, mood, blood pressure, who knows what. And then what can happen is they just leave themselves exposed or leave themselves open to this issue getting worse, and they take more medicine again to control it, and things come good and they stop, and they end up in this cycle, rather than taking something regularly every day, even on the good days, to just keep a lid on things. So I don't know how you would feel about doing that.
Well, I would because I can't go on like this. It's not a happy life. And I've got nothing to be unhappy about.
G'day again. Now that was Zoe, and we got to hear some of her story about dealing with the anxiety that she gets. We also got to hear about her experience with using medicine and how she stops and she starts them. And a lot of people do that. From time to time she gets fed up with taking them. It's not really something that she wants to use every day, and no one really wants to take something every day. She feels okay, so she stops taking the tablets. Then she goes backwards and she doesn't feel too good, so she starts them again. And the cycle goes up and down. I guess at the end of the day though, you've got to think, is it worth the hassle of taking the medicine that I'm using? Sometimes you can't have it all. I guess in the perfect world you want to feel good and you don't want to take a medicine. But that's not always the way it works out. So I guess at the end of the day you've got to weigh it up. Is it worth me taking something every day to keep a lid on it? Now there's other reasons that people don't always take their tablets every day. One of those reasons might be that you just might forget to take your tablets all the time. Some days you forget them, some days you don't. And some ways around that is that you can have a chat to your doctor or pharmacist about just simplifying what you're using. If things are a bit complex, talk to them about maybe what you could stop. Maybe you could combine a couple of medicines, maybe put 2 tablets into the one so you're not having to take as much stuff. Or they can lay it out in like a medicine pack for you so you don't have to think as much about it and it's all laid out what to do. There are certainly ways of simplifying what you're using just to make it easier for you. And if you just forget, you can also use an alarm, maybe set an alarm on your phone or something like that to go off when you need to take the doses of your medicines. Another thing you can do if you forget to take your medicines is leave them somewhere in the house where you're going to see them all the time, and that can remind you to take them if you're always bumping into them. Some people leave them on the kitchen bench, so it's there when they get their brekkie or have their evening meal at night. You're always going to see them, and hopefully that'll mean you're more likely to take them. The cost of it all can also be a reason that people don't always use their stuff all the time. Once again, have a chat to your doctor, your pharmacist, find out a way to try and make things cheaper for you. There's always a plan B. There's always a workaround. Sometimes people stop and start their tablets because they just don't think they're working for them. If you're finding that something isn't working for you or you don't reckon it is, then there's no point using it, obviously. Sometimes you're not always going to feel if your tablets are working for you or not. For example, if you're taking tablets for your blood pressure or your cholesterol, you're not always going to feel if your cholesterol's come down or your blood pressure's come down. So always, before you go stopping your tablets because you don't think they're working, check with your doctor or pharmacist. Have a chat to them, run it by them, and just get their thoughts on it. Another reason people stop their tablets is they get side effects from them. They don't feel good when they're on them, or they're worried about what they might be doing to them. Once again, have a chat to your doctor or pharmacist, sound them out. Maybe there's something else you could try that is less likely to give you the side effect that you're worried about or that you might be getting. So finally we'll come full circle back to Zoe, just to sum up about her getting fed up using tablets and she feels better and then she stops them and then she's got to go back on them. If that's the reason you stop or start your tablets, once again, sit back and reflect and think, is it worth me taking this tablet or not? Do I really want to be feeling the way I feel when I'm off the tablet? And just think, is it worth me going back on it every day, gritting my teeth, doing it, and living a slightly better life? That's some food for thought, everyone out there. So thanks a lot for listening, and until we chat again, hooroo. You can find information about any of the websites we spoke about in today's episodes in the show notes. Thanks to my brother Robert Woodward for expertly writing and playing the music on today's podcast. Please subscribe and follow the podcast so you don't miss an episode. You can also follow Medicines Ed on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you're interested in working with us, then please get in touch by email at info@medicinesed.com.au. Please feel free to also send us an email if you have any questions or would like to make a comment about the podcast. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time. Hooroo!